we've already heard about a German initiative. Now we're going to move swiftly on to hear about a French initiative. So Virginie, Dremeaux, and Thibaut, Mathieu, from respectively CANAL+ and Orange. Thibaut has one of the best job titles I've ever seen, which is Director of Anticipation.
It's very complicated. Innovation guy.
The clicker. Thanks a lot, Ben, for that. I'm especially delighted to be here today on this beautiful stage with Thibaut to speak about the first French linear addressable TV proof of concept that we have conducted together for the last 18 months now. In the Canal Group, we are very, very interested in addressable TV for many years, and we used to describe it as the best of both worlds. So, being here today on this stage, two French people in London, the best of both worlds may also have been maybe a French croissant soaked in a glass of beer, but I hope you get the analogy. But okay, just let's stick to addressable TV for now. Just to give you a quick overview first on the background on the French advertising market you may maybe not be so familiar with. I think that is something that everybody is experimenting right now, but for the second year in a row in France, the digital investments have overtaken the TV ones, and of course it's something we are very concerned about. This trend is, of course, observed on each and every market, and it's more about the growth of display. We are mixing everything in digital. We have the search, we have the levers like the referrals, the bots, and everything. But still, digital is very dynamic, whereas TV is at the best slightly growing or flat. And yet, we think that TV remains very strong. We all hear about fragmentation of the audience and the people leaving the television big screen for mobile, OTT devices. That's not what we measure. Obviously, TV is losing some minutes of viewing per day, but still it's very strong. And so, last year, the French channel, we just calculated that we have delivered more than 1 billion ad contacts per month, which is far, far away from whatever reach YouTube or Facebook could ever achieve in the same amount of time. Thomas told you about that for Facebook this morning, and I was very happy that he gave the figure for an American channel, but still we have exactly the same kind of proportion on the French market. So, TV is still very strong, TV is still powerful, TV is still rich, and we are not talking about the brand safety, the certified measurement, attention, engagement, which are still, of course, part of the TV audience. So, addressable TV in France, where are we? Once we have made that finding that we still are powerful, but that the budgets and the advertising investment are leaving for digital, how can we reverse the trend, and how can we bring back the advertising budget for the TV? We are thinking that addressable TV may be the appropriate answer. We would like to bring in TV some of the most valued KPIs we can find in the digital, and we also would like to be able to use the reach and the huge audience that we have on the TV. Well, we are in France, so first we have some work to do with the regulation. I don't know if you're familiar with the French market, but we are still regulated by an order dated 1992, which may seem prehistorical if we are in 2017. But still, this order exists, and it stipulates that the television live feed should be the same for every viewers and household, and we are not allowed right now just to make any changes in the ad breaks. So basically, we have been prohibited so far to consider addressable TV as a potential lever for our economic growth. Because we are in 2017, because that order is so old. We are now challenging the French government, and I think that we are all aligned now. That was very important. We needed to align all the French broadcasters around addressable TV, and it has taken some time, but right now we are all aligned. And now we are just asking the government to change that order, and well, it's on its way. It may well happen in the months to come, and hopefully before the end of next year. The good news is that the French TV is already addressable ready, potentially, because more than 60% of TV contacts today are delivered through connected set-top boxes. It's a Médiamétrie source. Médiamétrie is like Nielsen or Barb, so it's a very official source. And basically, we can consider that in France, TV, including linear, is already digital. That's a very good news. Though we have still a lot of work ahead, as the distribution of the digital TV is very fragmented, and we have to work with many providers, many telcos, and we have to make sure that we will be able to align everybody technically. But still, the addressable TV has a great potential right now in France. So what is the French approach for addressable TV? The French market today is split among three main broadcasting modes: IP, satellite, and terrestrial, which means that the French TVs have to deal with many operators and many technologies. Therefore, we have identified the need of standardization regarding accounting of the contact that we will deliver, and also, of course, about the data approach that we would like to have, targets, certification. We have just organized, and we are currently running workshops with the French National Syndicate for TV Advertising, we call SNP TV. And we are now, all the French broadcasters all together, gathering and trying to precise the kind of metrics that we will have and the kind of segments that we will ask to the operators to make available for addressable TV. Still, many questions remain. Shall we include the ad call in the workflow? How we will account for the ad calls? How we will deal with the opt-in? Shall we give a unique ID to the set-top boxes? Shall we have a unique ID for a TV? What kind of target would we like to have, or do we need for the advertisers? What kind of third party can we use to enrich this data? But still, we are on the way just to making everything more clear and to be able to give a precise technical specifications for the providers. We are quite convinced that what we experienced recently in the digital world, that measurement and certification have to be in the center of the addressable project in France. And so we have to figure out, along with the market, which third party we will have to use for this certification. But again, we have a lot of work, but we are working at it. So now maybe to go to the more concrete part, I will leave it to Thibaut to explain to you what we have done and what is our proof of concept.
Thank you very much, Virginie. I'm very pleased to be with Virginie to share what kind of experimentations we have done for Orange, more especially for the French market, in a quite rational way. So I don't pretend that it's perfect, but at least it's quite concrete. It's what we try to do, one step after the other one. Very briefly, in, let's say, 5 minutes. Singular French context, I think Virginie has quite outlined well our particularities. It is quite obvious that we have, first of all, such kind of monopolistic situation for the daily press, which is quite necessary to challenge it through the CPTV and on the legal point of view. But I do believe that we will succeed on it, let's say, between the 12 months next. On top of that, the TV channel advertising agency have this situation is quite different from the US, for instance, because the telco doesn't have any solution through the value chains to distribute their own ads. So the question is not to duplicate the US market, which is not relevant at all, at least for the French market. The third, but not the last, I guess, at the EPTV network operator, frankly, I think we have the highest market share, penetration share, between all the operators for the IPTV through all over the world. Meaning that if the IPTV world doesn't evolve in France, we are quite sure that the addressable TV market won't evolve at all. So it's necessary to go one step further on this. Second point is, in terms of business, what we're talking about. In terms of turnover, it's quite, in terms of assumptions, we are talking over the next 3 years, something around 200 million euros in terms of incremental revenues. And the half of it will be most part, I guess, from geographic data. It's over 3.2 billion euros market. So it means that it's not seen, and it's something that could be achieved, let's say, in the next 3 years, I guess, between the different telcos and the TV channels, of course. Regarding Orange, we are obviously the leader, and we are the leader with 40% in terms of market share. That's explain why we do some experimentation in order to go one step further with our partners, CANAL+, on this subject, especially the addressable TV. We have done, in September 2016, a first trial. It was concerned the replay, which is not obviously the main topics in terms of business, but it permits for us, as Orange telcos, to see how concretely we can address the anonymity, the privacy, and the opt-in, which is the first key to go one step further. That's why we decided, roughly 1 year ago, to start with the replay, and following this, in September, with CANAL+, to address, as a proof of concept, the live, what we can do very concretely on broadcast and addressable on a technical point of view with all the ecosystem, including the TV channel who are our friends and the other telcos who are also our friends and not competitors on this segment, very concretely. So we have created a new generation player which permits to make addressable TV during the live over IPTV network, which is, I believe, very new. We are quite convinced that we will push a protocol which will be quite very easy, SCTE 35, simple. I think many technical guys know it. And this kind of technology in terms of architecture should be quite easily duplicated between, for instance, SFR, Bouygues Telecom, or Free, which is the other IPTV telcos in France, compared to Orange. So it was our approach in order to evangelize a little bit more the context and the ecosystem. Handing what? Last month, almost, October, now we are already in December, that with the SMC TV, thanks with CANAL+, and the advertiser TF1, M6 France Télévisions, for instance, we say, a common agreement on the basic key rules on the technical point of view and a business tech point of view as well, to go on the first version of what could be the addressable TV over the next 12 or 40 months, roughly, through an industrial mode. First challenge for us was, as an operator, is to be able to make some personalized advertising, nevertheless, in a very trust and confidence situations. We are not coming from OTT on this part of it. And our name is not Facebook or Google, it's much more to protect the personal life of our customers. So how we can make the figures between them? So we decide and we push the anonymity, meaning very concretely that each set-top box from Orange will be renewed in terms of ID every 24 hours. It's what we propose concretely. Second point is, in terms of privacy, the household profile data stay, let's say, on the frontier from Orange. It doesn't mean that we don't work with the TV channel, it's the opposite, but we don't forward the data. It permits to keep and to guarantee the privacy, which is absolutely key, I guess, for telcos and more especially for Orange, which is one part of our heart of strategy. And the last point is, in terms of opt-in, what does it mean is, let's say, you are in front of your TV and you have a screen, do you accept or not this kind of service? The end user say yes or no. So he will manage by himself and choose by himself if he wants it or not. So he can manage through the time and change his mind as well. A small video to show you what does it mean very concretely between two regular set-top boxes from Orange.
La météo avec les
Complexe qui reconstruit des liaisons capillaires pour des cheveux visiblement réparés et renforcés en profondeur. Alors avant de les couper, essayez Gliss Ultimate Fiber de Schwarzkopf, la qualité professionnelle pour vous.
compatible tout feu dont induction, notre faitout en acier inoxydable vous accompagnera dans toutes vos recettes.
The interesting point is the quality of service. To have some discrepancies between the regular broadcast TV channel with the ad, or when we switch to an unicast, which is the way we can address this, you have a discrepancy in terms of quality of experience. The evidence is no, I guess. The viewer doesn't see any discrepancies. It's exactly what we want, and it's seamless. It means that we have developed as a range a new generation players through our SSTB. As regular, you have the player one, which is for the broadcast, as we do over IPTV as usual. And we had two different players. The first one is for the unicast, let's say for the first ad addressed, and the second player will be for another ad, which that permits to switch between one and the others in a very easy way and seamless way, which that permits to provide this quality of service seamlessly. Nevertheless, I guess it's not enough somewhere. I don't know for you, but for me, sometimes I have to admit, sorry, Virginie, but when I watch the TV, it is the beginning of the ad break. Sometimes I zap, I go to another TV channel, and I come back.
I don't know what you're talking about, but...
No, stop. It's my own experience. But by the way, I'm not alone.
But ad breaks on CANAL+ are so short that you don't...
T'as raison. So, nevertheless, we could say, in terms of estimation, that 30% of the households zap during the advertising. So it's absolutely core to answer to this key business question. And the technical point of view, it needs to be enough agile to address those. With this kind of solutions we have developed overall with our new generation player, it permits when you have come back at the middle of the ad break, you will still have the addressable TV, even if you miss it in terms of ad. It means that it permits to optimize the audience, whatever the zapping, if people make some zapping or not, you will publish and push at the first order the advertisement during the zapping. I would like to thank very much Virginie, because we have worked, I think, quite strongly together for more than 1 year, and CANAL+, of course. I think we won't be able to do it by our own. I think it's a true common work. So thank you very much, Virginie, for that.
Thank you, Thibaut. Thank you.